Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Full-Time MLS. My name is Randy. Christian, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm ready to cover more MLS. It is a Monday. I've been looking forward to this. We've got so much to talk about in this episode. Everyone knows why we're here. We have been previewing every single MLS team heading into the 2020 season. Or 2026 season, excuse me, and we are just, a couple weeks away. And in fact, we have our first action tomorrow night. At the end of the podcast, we will break down the CONCACAF Champions Cup and the outlook for San Diego, who are entering their first CONCACAF Champions Cup tomorrow. But yeah, we got some more teams to talk about, 5 more teams today. We will be covering San Jose Earthquakes, Real Salt Lake, New York Red Bulls, Portland Timbers, and FC Dallas in this episode. So, Christian, are you ready to get talking about some more teams?
Yeah, we took a day off yesterday, so I kind of missed it. So I'm ready to get back into it.
It was a busy weekend of working. We were making up for all that snowstorm where we were out for weeks. Well, San Jose would be the next team that we would be talking about, but we have an amazing guest joining us tonight. So we're going to start off talking about Real Salt Lake. Yes, we are talking about Real Salt Lake here, and we are joined by an incredible guest from, I should have had this up already so fans can see it, but from the RSL Bros podcast, we are joined by Marcos Pickett, hopefully a new friend of the show. So, Marcos, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I can just tell you, Christian and I have been looking forward to this so much because we have someone who actually covers an MLS team, kind of knows the ins and outs. And I saw that you've actually been able to have conversations with like the head coach, Pablo Mastroianni. And that is just absolutely insane to me to see. So I have to ask, man, first off, what got you into Major League Soccer and how long have you been able to cover Real Salt Lake?
I think I'll start with the how. So obviously our podcast is myself, my brother Alan, and my cousin Christian. It's just the 3 of us, and we're just doing what we love, talking all RSL. We're locals here from Utah, really close to the stadium, and we've just grown to love it. We're like, hey, we love soccer. Why don't we just talk about it as a podcast? We're like, let's do it. This is going into our third, fourth season, something like that. And we love it. We absolutely love it. Talking to Pablo, talking to all the players, it's a blast.
So kind of the same way me and Randy here got into the same thing. We both love soccer, decided to start talking about it. We've been best friends since 4th grade. So kind of a interesting, cool backstory. I guess my question for you, you said that you've been doing it for 3 or 4 seasons. How long into it do you feel like it took you to be able to interview, a head coach or be able to have that kind of magnitude?
Yeah, it was probably 2nd season. So it was like beginning of last season. That's when I had that access, but I think it was once I got that confidence to be able to open my mouth and be able to ask Pablo, ask Gozo, ask especially Luna, who's now the face of RSL, it seems like, to be able to ask those hard-hitting questions that everybody wants to hear.
Yeah, awesome.
Man, that's absolutely honor. You are living the dream, brother. And I feel like every podcast has to have their Christian. I have mine. You guys have yours. So
we have our own Christian. Yep.
If you're a soccer podcast out there, take notes. You have to have a Christian before going live and everything. Well, gentlemen, let's go ahead. We've got a lot to talk about, especially having you here, Marcos, about RSL. I'm going to give the normal rundown that we always do with these teams, and then we'll get right into it. So Real Salt Lake finished 19th in Major League Soccer last season, 9th in the West. They had 11 wins, 15 losses, 8 draws. Their season ended. They were able to end the regular season with a 2-2 draw against St. Louis. That got them into the wild card where they lost 3-1 to the Portland Timbers. I'm so sorry to bring that back up. I wanted to start with some positive energy here. So I do want to ask you, Marcos, about my next question. It's the end of the season, how you guys ended up Christian and I were talking earlier. This was the 4th season that Real Salt Lake has exited the postseason early. So they've been able to get there, but they haven't been able to seemingly get over that hump and make a playoff run. So with what you remember of how the season ended, how did it leave you off as a fan?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's been since 2021 since we've been past that first round. So it's been gut-wrenching for me, RSL fans, especially Pablo and the players. They know it. They know it firsthand that they're frustrated. They want to get to that point where they can be contenders with the LAs, the Seattles, and now San Diego, of course. So it's gut-wrenching, but we know that the front office, we know that the coaching staff they're hungry. They want to make moves. They want to be a part of the top dogs.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, I think it was Real Salt Lake I think it was last year, 23rd in player payroll. Do you think that we could see them kind of climb that, or is that kind of like where they want to be in the long run?
No, I think most definitely they want to be up there. They want to be where they're making noise. They want to be top of the West, contenders for that top seed, like San Diego. Because San Diego, that was their first season in the MLS, and they're already winning first in the West. We saw St. Louis do that a couple seasons ago, so why not RSL?
Right.
I think it's really interesting with how their season was last year. Super strong at home, which I know you're probably happy at going to see these games. Like seeing a strong home record is definitely a plus to have when you live nearby. They seemingly struggle. Where their struggles came in was on that back line. Struggled with the defense all season. You guys have started. We're going to get into who they brought in, who they've let go, and everything so far ahead of this 2026 campaign. But going into the offseason, was that a big thing for you when you kind of looked at where the club was at and you had your wish list? Going into the holidays, you had your wish list about what you wanted this club to do.
Yeah.
Was part of that fix this back line, or was there other elements you were focusing more on?
Yeah, I think I speak to a lot of fans where we see backline had so many struggles. We have a lot of dumb mistakes that we let in where it was just communication with our center backs, with our goalie. And I think that's the first thing that a lot of fans want to see get fixed is that I call it our Swiss cheese of our backline.
I think Randy hit on it as well. You guys were stronger at home. I have your 3 away wins all year last year. And it seemed like that your Swiss cheese defense kind of seemed to be the issue on the road.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that then, or would it be stronger at home than on the road? Or
yeah, there was definitely times where it was strong in both places, but all in all, it was definitely stronger at home. We call this behind me, as you can see behind me, is our stadium. We call it our fortress, the Riot. So it used to be called Rio Tinto Stadium. Obviously now it's called America First Field. But that's our fortress. This is our home. This is where we want to make sure it's a tough environment for away teams to come play.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, I heard you call it on your podcast the greatest stadium in the MLS.
Yeah, absolutely. It has the best backdrop by far.
That view is amazing.
Christian literally stole the words out of my mouth. That was the exact same thing I was about to say. I was going to be like, hold on a second. This is going to be off topic.
No,
but I had to talk about that gorgeous backdrop. Like that's what I love about
I've been to 3 other MLS stadiums and they don't compare. Don't compare at all. I've been to San Diego's, Miami's, and Portland's. No, not even close.
Okay.
Not even close.
I do have to say before we get back on the players and stuff, this is always fun to talk about because Christian and I have had extensive conversations about one thing that's amazing about baseball is how each stadium feels unique and they have their own qualities. And I feel the same way about soccer, football, however you want to call it. And just the atmosphere that different stadiums bring. And that's not only in the stadium, but the atmosphere around the stadium with the different types of bars and pubs that you can go to and really experience a full game day. So while we're on it, I do have to ask you, what's it like a full game day for an RSL fan?
Yeah, of course. Like every soccer atmosphere, everybody shows up early to the tailgate where we have our different supporters groups. We have about 5 or 6 of them. They show up early. They're in our tailgate in the 90th South Law. I'll give a shout out to them. And they show up early. They're playing their drums. They're eating their different types of food that they bring. And then we have our march to the stadium, which is a blast. we got their smoke. They got their flags, their drums, and they're getting amped. They're getting hyped, ready to cheer on their club.
You have to enlighten us a little bit as well. What is your supporter section called? Forgive me for not knowing.
No, 100%. So all in all, it's called the Riot. But then from there, they have their other small groups. So from there, they got Los Caballeros Reales, Riot Brigade. I'm drawing a blank of names. But from there, there's just a bunch of other equivalent, bunch of fun groups. Salt City is another one of them. So
there's all kinds of little groups within the big group.
Absolutely.
Like every club.
100%.
Well, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into some of the ins and outs for RSL so far from the end of the 2025 season to where we're at now. And I'm going to play something that is brand new to this podcast. You know, if you are a basketball NBA fan, you know of Woj bombs, but we don't have Woj bombs anymore. But we do have something else in terms of MLS, and it's called a Woj bomb. I'm going to play the graphic. Absolutely love that. And we have to talk about, this was news that just broke earlier today. Real Salt Lake and U.S. Youth National Team attacker Javier Gozo. I might have butchered that. I'm still trying to be better. I'm being honest. An incredible young player. He is one to watch in the summer window. Aston Villa and Atletico Madrid, two clubs who are showing strong interest. And then on the flip side, we're going to talk about both these moves, but this just came out a few days ago. We talked about the backline struggles that RSL has had. Uruguay international wingback Juan Manuel Sanabria is traveling to Real Salt Lake to complete a transfer from Atletico San Luis. The deal has been a saga for a while now, and you can see their fee between 2 to 3 million. Not a DP, which I think is absolutely incredible work from the front office at Real Salt Lake. So before I go to Christian to get his thoughts, and maybe he'll bring up some other players he wants to talk about, Marcos, we've got two differing news here. We've got a young player on the way out, and we're going to talk about Diego Luna. We're holding that in the conversation, but we've got one young player potentially on his way out, and then another player coming in to kind of solidify that back line. I love this signing because the fact you can bring him in and not use a DP slot is absolutely fantastic work. So what do you think about these moves that Tom has been reporting on?
Yeah, I'll start with Gozo. I like to call him Utah's finest because he's here from Utah, just literally just up the road. But I like it. Obviously, we saw his, I guess, called breakout season with RSL. We see his beautiful bicycle kick against LAFC last season, and he had some amazing goals, amazing assists, and this kid has potential. But is he ready for Atletico Madrid, Aston Villa? No. In my opinion, no. I think give it at least one more season for him to push his potential, and then maybe. I just feel like it's way too early to be shipping him off to Atletico Madrid. We just see somebody from Orlando go off to Atletico over to La Liga. Is he going to get playing time? Who knows? But for Gozo, a little too early in my opinion. Now, Sanabria, I love this move. I love this move so much. Like I just mentioned, our backline was not the greatest going into the end of last season. So Sanabria brings that authority for this backline. Obviously, he plays for the Uruguayan nationals team, so he knows what it means. He had a little bit of a stint, very little bit, with Atletico Madrid. So very small bit, but I like this. I like this so much. So this is going to be a battle between Sanabria and Catranis over on there on that left-hand side.
Christian, what do you think to add on to what Marcos is saying? Because I agree about everything you just said. Gozo's goal last season is something that stands out. You know, I've seen it so many times because MLS always posts like the goal of the year contention, and they post like the best goals from every single team. And I've seen that goal over and over again. An absolute masterful job from him. But I agree with you in the sense of, and this is something Christian and I, sorry, Christian, I know I was going to throw it to you and I kind of got on a tangent here. This is something that we talked about earlier in the sense of there's some news happening around the league with like Denny Bouanga. And I know this is a totally different situation when we're talking about a young player, but when is MLS going to turn from that selling league? You know, we develop players, we send them overseas. When are they going to kind of evolve into a place where players stay kind of long term? And when you look at Gozo, yes, like this is a dream move to go play for these clubs. But how many minutes are you really going to be getting with these clubs when you could develop with Real Salt Lake, get some really good playing time here? And then we have seen players in the past who waited a few more seasons and then they get that massive deal to go overseas. So I kind of see where you're coming from with, you're 18 years old. This is a great move for you, but is it in the long run with your playing time, I guess is what I'm saying. Like mentally, he's going to be excited about it.
100%.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on Gozo as well because I kind of agree with where you're going with that, Marcos, and the fact that a lot of times we see a lot of players like get that early move and they go too early, and it kind of stipends what they can do with their true potential. But like Randy was saying, with the players that have waited, like Thiago Almada, guys that have waited a couple of years and then actually went and performed well overseas, whereas 18 years old, you had 4 goals and 3 assists and 21 starts, which is a great homegrown start off for him. But in order to make that move too early, it could really hurt what he could truly be in the end.
Yeah, and like I don't know if you guys have probably seen, I obviously had the opportunity. I interviewed Gozo during the media day, and I think we asked him those same questions, and he said multiple times that he wants to pick up where he was last season because he knows his potential, he knows what he's worth, and he was frustrated like many of the other RSL players where they ended, and he just wants to pick things up and just continue scoring those goals. And he was working his ass off all this past season, just putting in the work, putting in the grind, because he knows that this club has the potential.
Is this a move? Are you convinced that it's going to go through? Because obviously the report that came out earlier today is these clubs are interested. Is this something, it's going to happen? Or as we kind of get closer to the end of the transfer window, particularly for Europe, is this a move that you think might wait around till the summer or potentially to next off season?
That's a tough one, honestly. Like it could go either way, but as it's going, I could see it maybe towards end of the summer, maybe after the World Cup. Same thing with Luna. It's one of those. Let's see how the season starts off. Let's see how he plays and go from there.
I love that you detoured to Luna because that was the other big elephant in the room. This is a player, your guys' leading goal scorer last year, Diego Luna, obviously has blossomed the last couple of seasons to be one of the top midfielders in this league. Like watching this kid play, and I think I'm old enough to call him a kid now. Watching this kid play is absolutely magical stuff. His footwork, immaculate. And so he had 10 goals in all competitions for you guys last year. I wrote down his full stats. He had 9 goals in MLS, 7 assists in MLS last season. This is a key player for you guys. So not to jump ahead, but as we continue our interview here and start to like wrap it up over time, I will say my key to success that I give to every single team was prepare for a time without Luna and make the right deal at the right time. Because I've always seen RSL as a sneaky team when it comes to making moves. I feel like they are pretty smart financially and really good. They've got good academy players that come up through the system as well. Everyone always talks about New York Red Bulls, and I think they ignore Real Salt Lake at times when it comes to talking about their academy and how they use those players. But I think that's my key to success with this team as we talk about Luna. And then, Christian, I'll send it over to you to give your thoughts on the situation. But you got it. It's a matter of when, not if. And you just got to do it at the right time and wait for the right deal.
No, I agree. I have that as one of my X factors with Diego Luna. But before I get into those, I did have a couple more players I wanted to bring up here with Stein Spearings. I didn't know if maybe you're thinking direct replacement for Ojeda. I saw you kind of brought it up to Christian on your podcast. Didn't really see your answer on that. Yeah. And also on Victor Olatunyi. Obviously, he had, I think it was 7 starts last year as he moved over. Do you expect more? He was really 4 goals and 1 assist and 7 starts. I know he kind of struggled a little bit at Sparta, but do you expect him to kind of take a big step as well?
Yeah, I'll start over there with Stein Spearings. I truly believe that he will be Ojeda's replacement. I'm not saying that he's going to be putting up the same kind of numbers per se, but I think Stein Spearings is going to bring that leadership that we need because we have a young guy in Kaliskin who he's a great player, but he needs that boost of confidence, that he still needs. Olatunji, I think Olatunji is what RSL needs. He is a great leader on that attack, helping Gozo just push to his limit. We saw, obviously, RSL picked him up towards the tail end of the season, probably the last 10-ish games. 4 goals in like the last 10-ish games. Amazing. We see one of his goals, I think it was against St. Louis, that beautiful assist from Luna, that through ball. Find him so perfectly. RSL's last preseason game, it wasn't unfortunately streamed, but it was against Dallas. I saw in their story, beautiful goal by Olatunji, called back because of a high kick on a bicycle kick. Just that kind of potential, being able to score a bicycle kick, he's going to have a great season.
And he's doing that in preseason already.
In the interview that I had with Pablo after that game, Pablo was like, best bicycle kick that I've seen ever. But the ref was dumb that he called it off because of a high kick.
And I think you hit it right on the head when you talked about how him only coming over for about 10 games and coming out and performing well. Because I see a lot of times players will come in that time of the year and kind of struggle there at the end of the season and kind of pick it up for their first full season. So the fact that he was able to kind of hit the ground running, I think, is a good sign going into this season with a full off season.
Yeah.
And then the last player that I do want to bring up, I will agree with you guys that Victor Olatunji, I fell in love with him that final regular season game. He had a brace, if you guys remember, against St. Louis to end the season. And we got, I think last season, it was like an appetizer. We got a little taste of what this player can do.
Yeah.
I seriously see this as an impact player that he's going to make me tune into Real Salt Lake games this year because I want to watch this guy play. He seems like a great dude. And I really think, I'm not just saying this because you're here, Marcos. I swear, Christian can back me up that I've been talking about him for a minute now. But I think this is a double-digit goal scorer. Like, I think this is a guy who can put it up in this league, especially if he's getting the service in from Luna. Like, I definitely think Luna's going to be here till at least the summer. So you have that, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And I like the addition as well. We haven't brought it up, but I do want to ask you, the final player that I wanted to bring up was Lucas Engel, who Christian is very familiar with coming from when his time at FC Cincinnati, and then you guys bought him from Middlesbrough. Any comments on Engel and where he could fit into this potential 11?
Engel didn't play in the last preseason game, but 2 out of the 3 preseason games so far that I've seen him, he's a dog. He is so good. Obviously, he played with DeAndre when they're both in Cincinnati together, so they know each other so well in that time together. And in the time that I've seen him play, he's made Glad that much better of a player because obviously we saw towards the end of the season, Justin Glad had his moments like every defender does, but Engel has pushed Glad to his limits and just made him so much better, which I'm excited to see. It must be the shaved head or something.
No, Engel is a dog. You hit it right there. I think he was one of the key reasons we lifted the Supporter Shield that year. Him and Yedlin together, they have great chemistry. Like you brought that up.
Oh, it's the leadership in DeAndre, and then it's that dog-like mentality in Engel.
Mm-hmm.
Christian, let's go ahead. You brought up one of your X factors. I gave my key to success earlier on in our conversations. What are your other X factors for this team heading into 2026 for them to find success and maybe jump into the second round of the MLS playoffs?
Yeah, I think number one, as we brought up, is Diego Luna and his timeline. I think it seems like you said, a matter of when, not if, he's going to make that jump to Europe. I think if he does stay all season, we're looking at RSL's ceiling to jump into the top six in the West. But I think if he's sold in the summer, we can maybe expect a dip in the creation and late game control. Number two, I think their away form, big. Like we brought up earlier, RSL saw 3 wins on the road, 10 draws. I think if they can turn some of those draws into wins, then they can then submit themselves comfortably in the playoffs. And then, like we brought up, Victor Olatunji, is he a finisher or just a runner? We saw last year he really was finishing at a good in those first couple of games that we saw him. But he did show inconsistency at Sparta Praha. So if he can continue that form he had at the end of season, I think that's going to be, as you said, a double-digit goal scorer that could also submit them in the top.
Well, Marcus, I have to go to you. And we always make our predictions about the season, but it's a little different for Christian and myself, who are just, we have our teams, but other than that, we're mutual. Just MLS fans love watching this league grow, and that's what's really fun about it. But to ask someone who actually covers a team and is a diehard fan of a team, when we spoke about the Galaxy, my team, I went in and I said, the signings we've made, I'm optimistic. But coming from a fan's perspective, how are you feeling ahead of the kickoff of the 2026 season for RSL?
This is probably the busiest offseason that RSL has had in a long time. So to see all these signings in the back line and now in the midfield, I'm like, okay, I'm optimistic. Whereas that last game against Portland, the playoff game, I was like, oh, where the hell are we going from here? So do I see us getting out of the first round this coming season? Possibly. I feel a slight glimmer of hope. I'm not going to say wild card. We're definitely not going to be in the wild card this season.
I love that. I feel bad. Christian kept bringing up your away record, and I'm like, damn, Christian, just driving it in here.
I think that's the key. I think that's key. If you don't want to be in the wild card this year, you're going to turn at least one or two of those draws into.
No, and you bring up a good point. Like our first game of the season is going against a tough environment in Vancouver. So how serious does RSL want to be? Well, we'll see it first game of the season.
And that's always such a great game, Vancouver and RSL. So, I mean, going into the defending Western Conference champs, home is never an easy environment as well. Well,
not at all.
Christian, do you have anything else for Marcos before we kind of let him go here?
I think we had a great conversation. I think we learned a lot mutually. I think it was I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your expertise on the club.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it so much, you guys.
And then Marcos, ditto what Christian said. It is an absolute honor to have you here. You are always welcome back. We'll have to have you on to recap a game or two this season.
Maybe one of these times I'll bring the other two bros as well.
Yes, do like a mutual stream and break. Maybe we can. Christian and I were talking about maybe doing like live watches of games. Maybe get them in and we can sit down watch an RSL game. But where can people find you? The soccer community that we have. A big thing for Christian and I is just while the league grows, we want to help everyone grow.
Absolutely.
And so where can fans find you guys and listen to this?
Yeah, if you guys want to learn more about RSL and how RSL is doing, come take a look at us at the RSL Bros on Instagram. We're on X, on TikTok as well, but check us out on Instagram. Listen to us on all where you check your podcast on Spotify, Apple, as well as YouTube.
And I gotta say, the theme song for your guys' podcast is on.
Yeah. Who did that? What's the background to that?
That'd be called Alan, the other RSL bro. So
that's awesome. Well, Marcos, thank you so much, man. You gonna be watching the game tomorrow night? I have to ask you.
Absolutely. I'm upset that RSL, of course, is not in this time around, but I can't miss soccer. You can't miss soccer at never at all.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining again, Marcos, and look forward to having you on again sometime.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one. All right. A great interview that we had, Christian. That was absolutely that was fun.
Yeah, great time.
So let me pull my notes back up. It was a blast to have them on, but we've got some more teams to talk about. That is not the end of our episode. So let's go ahead and keep things moving here. We're heading back out west for our next team. Yes, the San Jose Earthquakes. They scored 41 points last season, 20th in MLS, 10th in the West, 11 wins, 15 losses, 10 draws. They ended the season with a win. That's what I have for that. I don't know why I put that down, but they did. Head coach Bruce Arena, their leading goal scorer was Joseph Martinez. He is gone along with a lot of other people, a lot of big names. Chicho Arango was just sold. Christian Espinoza, Mark Anthony Kay's gone, Joseph Martinez gone. So Christian, as we get into talking San Jose, they've got a completely different outlook than RSL. This team, we're going to talk about a big signing, but they've got some holes to fill as well.
I mean, you got to trust Bruce Arena, right? We're talking about a team who in 2024 had the wooden spoon, and you saw obvious improvement just from one season to the next. I feel like San Jose's defense really let them down as they were near the bottom in expected goals conceded. However, a good bright spot for them is they did thrive on set pieces, though, like you noted, Christian Espinoza is out the door to Nashville.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to bring up is their defense, as you stated, was a bit leaky last season, lack of a better word. But their offense really gelled on all cylinders. They averaged 1.76 goals per game is the number that I have down. They finished the season with a 3-goal differential. This was a team that really, for the most part, they allowed a goal, but then they scored a goal. So this was definitely like a 500 team when looking at, every time they scored, they kind of let one in as well. And that's kind of where their struggles came at last season. Obviously, Christian, I hit my mic. Let's not hide from it anymore. The big talking point is Timo Werner. Probably, arguably the biggest signing that MLS has had this offseason. Coming over from RB Leipzig. Obviously, he had time with Tottenham. This is a player who I have always loved as a soccer fan because my favorite Bundesliga team is RB Leipzig. I watched him when he was growing there. Then he went on to the Prem. Then he went back, and it seemed like ever since he went to the Prem, he was never the same player that he was on his first stint at Leipzig. But that first stint, this was a player, he could outrun anybody, I feel. He was absolutely deadly up at that number 9 position. I don't know why, but ever since his struggles at Tottenham, this has been a player that I've wanted to come to MLS. And I think this is someone who could rejuvenate his career here. And I am so, so excited to watch him play. And I'm interested, Christian, to hear how you think he could fare in MLS.
Yeah, I have in my notes, kind of as you brought up Timo Werner, that he's the elephant in the room, it appears, in San Jose right now. The PR department literally called him the biggest signing in San Jose history, which I would probably agree with. Werner has proven success in Europe, lifted the Champions League trophy with Chelsea, and now he aims to lift the MLS Cup.
And I think he has the perfect coach as well in Bruce Arena to come and have success in this league. And this is a player, I'm a little nervous who's going to be feeding him the ball. But this is a player who can create his own shot as well. And I really do expect him to contend for a Golden Boot. Like I'd be shocked if he doesn't. Like I think he's such a natural goal scorer. This is a type of signing that I think San Jose and their fans needed. This hasn't been a market that has gotten absolute mega superstars. And I'm not saying, obviously, Timo Werner isn't on the same level as like a Messi. Obviously.
Well, at the end of the day, Timo Werner is he's going to get into dangerous areas. The biggest question with Timo Werner is can he finish at a consistent amount of time, because that's the thing with Timo Werner is his finishing isn't as strong as his ability to get in those dangerous areas.
Well, I want to see RB Leipzig Timo Werner from the original days come back. Like that's the player that I want to see. So my question for you, Christian, is that player still there?
I think it's still there. We're not far removed from that. I think has moved to Chelsea, which we've seen a lot of younger players move to Chelsea and not quite meet that potential just because they have so many players on their payroll. But then again, when he went to Tottenham, it was still a similar thing of just maybe the Premier League was above his ranking. He didn't really have as strong of a second run at Leipzig, but I think the MLS will be the question is, can Timo Werner go up against the physical center backs and still put the ball in the back of the net? That's the biggest question.
Let's talk about some of the other moves that they've made so far. A lot of players left the club. Marc-Anthony Kaye, option declined. Rodriguez, option declined. Joseph Martinez is gone. Bruno Wilson is gone. Chicho Arango, such an incredible goal scorer. We just had the honor of talking to Marcos there from RSL Bros. He would be familiar with Chicho from his time in Real Salt Lake. And then Christian Espinoza off to Nashville. And Christian, maybe we will talk a little bit more about Arango's departure, but let's start with Christian Espinoza. I know this is where you want to go because it's confusing, the decision to let him go here.
Because you're just letting him go on free. At least with Arango, you're loaning him out with with a chance of maybe him coming back. I doubt it because it seemed like he maybe wanted to.
I think there's an option to buy with that as well. With that,
yeah, I think it seemed like he kind of wanted to go. But in the same respect, you're going to get money back from Arango. Whereas in Espinoza, this guy has really been, their best player for a couple of years now. And like I stated earlier, he really led the way for them being amongst the top in set piece goals. I think just letting him go on a free kind of was a head scratcher.
Yeah, and we don't know the ins and outs. We don't know if. Well, no, you said free. Yeah. Never mind. I was going to say maybe they let him go to bring in Timo Werner. Like, we don't know the payroll and all that, but like at the end of the day, you still bringing Timo in. You need a player to provide that input. You can't just have Timo Werner and a bunch of scrubs and feel like you're going to dominate in this league or make noise in a very crowded Western Conference. So, other than Timo, they signed Jack Jinski, a defender, through the expansion draft. So there hasn't really been much on the end. So they're pretty much running it back with Bruce Arena, which we've seen in the past. He finds success, getting his guys.
They also brought in DeJuan Jones from Columbus, $175,000 in GAM, a guy who has experience working with Bruce Arena in New England. 9 goals and 22 assists across 147 MLS starts. But this is a guy who also can kind of help bolster that defense. And Bruce Arena, I don't think is going to allow a second year of that kind of defense. You never really see a Bruce Arena defense be bad for multiple seasons.
And this team, they did miss the postseason last year, which is so weird for a Bruce Arena-led team, honestly, to miss the postseason. I mean, Christian, what's your ceiling for this team this year with the signings they've made at this point? Because as we continue to cover teams and learn more about certain teams that we talk about, I'm not high on San Jose. I'm not as high as I thought. Like, they're going to win games with Timo Werner. But if you look at the rest of their roster, that's where my fear comes in.
I mean, I think if Timo Werner can come in and put up those numbers that you were referencing that he could do, like he did this first stint at Leipzig, at that point you're talking, a team that can compete for a wild card spot. So I would say that's probably their ceiling would be right around where they were last year. Would probably be their ceiling. But then again, you think about bringing in a guy like Timo Werner, could that not raise the ceiling a little bit more? I think it all depends on if he can come in and hit the ground running. That's really going to be what their ceiling is.
It's such a big signing for them. I'm really happy for this club, and that's a player that I really want to see play in MLS this season is Timo. Let's go ahead and get to my key to success. I know we haven't talked about much with this team, but there hasn't been much that has happened. My key to success, Timo Werner doesn't do much if you continue to concede goals. So solidify the back line to allow him to shine. That's what you need to do because Timo, he's going to bag you goal after goal after goal. You can't be conceding on the other end. So I think that's where I'm nervous going into the season is I'm very nervous about who they have playing in that back three or that back four. At times last season, they did a back three. So I'm interested to see their formation as well heading into this year. But obviously the focal point, the spotlight's going to be on Timo Werner.
I mean, yeah, start on my number one X factor. Timo Werner, reputation versus reality. If Werner adapts to MLS spacing and tempo, he could easily be a 15 to 18 goal guy in his first season, simply off movement and chaos and creation. I think Bruce Arena teams live off strikers who stretch lines. Werner's off-ball runs could unlock even other players' potentials. Let's see. Bruce Arena's defensive reboot is my second. Like I said earlier, Arena teams usually don't stay bad defensively for long, but San Jose has tested that reputation. 2025 showed signs of structure, but still too many transition goals conceded. I think if Arena finally settles on a double pivot that actually protects the center backs, San Jose will then jump to tiers. Third.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I lost count.
Number 3, I have depth plus rotation in the summer. San Jose isn't deep. Let's just put it frank out there. If Arena is forced into heavy minutes for veterans, you see a late season drop off.
That's funny. I seriously thought you were on 3, so I was ready to. Oh my Lord, I just zoned out. No, I agree with every single thing that you said. And I love how you're putting the emphasis on Bruce Arena, because this is a guy that has found success. One of the, if not the greatest MLS manager that we've seen kind of stick around the league. I know people are going to be like, hold on. There's been better managers. I'm talking about long-term MLS manager. This dude has found success in this league. What's the ceiling for San Jose at the end of the day, Christian? Like, with everything we're talking about in this, I'm telling you, the Western Conference is so loaded. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have enough to get in the postseason. Maybe a wild card.
You asked me this when we were talking about Timo Werner. Pretty much the same question. But I still think it's the same. I think that you're finishing right about where you were last year. But we did see a big uptick from their 2024 to 2025. So I think their ceiling is 8th.
Well, that's what I was looking for. That's why I asked you again, because I wanted like an actual – I know I asked you already. Yeah, I'm just fumbling here. Absolutely fumbling. All right, let us know in the comments down below where you guys think San Jose is going to finish this season. We'll have to wait and see when their season kicks off in just a couple of weeks. But let's go ahead and move on to our next team that we're talking about. It's the only team we're talking about in the Eastern Conference today, the New York Red Bulls. Talk about Timo Werner. The team that I thought he was going to end up on for years was the Red Bulls, because, there's so many players we see with Emil Forsberg who kind of moved from either Salzburg to New York or Leipzig to New York. Red Bulls last season missed the postseason again, or I say again, first time missing the postseason since 2009. Mm-hmm. Ends a 15-year streak. One of the longest in North American sports. They finished 18th in MLS, 10th in the East, 12 wins, 15 losses, 7 draws. Their head coach, they made a change. Sandro Schwartz is out. Michael Bradley, son of Bob Bradley, former player, is in. This is his first time big coaching gig. We're going to see how he does this season with them. Their leading goal scorer last season, Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, 18 goals, and then Emil Forsberg followed up with 13 goals. Christian, I'm going to let you go first. I don't know where you want to start with this team and how their 2025 season wrapped up. But heading into 2026, I am so excited for the Red Bulls. I love the moves they've made so far.
Yeah, like you said, missed MLS playoffs for the first time in 15 years. That is a crazy stat. Just had to say that again. Obviously, goals weren't an issue. Choupo-Moting, Emil Forsberg with 22 goal contributions on himself. Both of them obviously contributing double-digit goal contributions. The MLS, their Red Bulls 2, MLS Next Pro won the MLS Next Pro Cup. Sorry.
Oh, good shout! I love the shout. Yeah, yeah, I like the shout. Yeah,
we're talking a club who, arguably has the best youth academy in the league. Outside of maybe FC Dallas probably competes with that. But, that just showcases that they have strong depth in a youth pool. I think that we could see that this year as well, with their depth.
They had high marks last season, right? As you mentioned, their academy, absolute fantastic academy every single season. They are great at developing players. We saw a few more young players develop last season as well. One player that in particular who I'm looking to develop more heading into the season is Julian Hull, who I really want to see get out there, get a consistent amount of playing time. He played 26 total games last season. I think he had a few starts, but for the most part coming off the bench for them. I'd love to see him kind of get more minutes as well. And then the other thing, I said they had some highs last season. They tied an MLS record. I can't believe I'm saying this. They beat the LA Galaxy 7-0.
I should have been the one to bring that up. But
absolute beating, and that's the last time I'm going to relive it. But at the same time, while they had some bright moments, Christian, this was a team we actually saw play last year because we went to opening night in Cincinnati, and this was the team that you guys were playing. We got to see Emil Forsberg in action and Choupo-Moting. I love that combination as well. And it's got proven success. But then the 2024 Comeback Player of the Year, Lewis Morgan, he missed a lot of time last season, which kind of altered their season as a whole. They struggled to find that consistency. I don't really know why this team struggled as much as they did, even with Morgan missing time, because they've got good pieces. I don't know if it was more on, coaching or tactical changes that just didn't work. They've gone out and they've made a lot of changes. So listen to these players who have left. Sean Nealis, traded to DC United. We already talked about him. Peter Stroud, traded to Minnesota. Lewis Morgan has since, a great player who they lost a lot of last year. He's been traded to San Diego. We might see him play tomorrow night. Or at least the time of this recording. I don't know. This recording might come out by the time the games happen. Curtis Ofori, contract decline. Kyle Duncan, gone. Carlos Coronel originally was going to Orlando, and then he said psych and went to a club in Brazil, which was a funny saga as well to see play out. So they've lost a lot of that foundation that we've seen play Christian over the years, but they've gone out and replaced it with some really good players as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to start off with Coronel because I'm sure that Red Bulls are relieved to be off the goalkeeper drama. Bring in a guy like Ethan Horvath, who just brings experience across all of Europe. 74 clean sheets and 234 appearances in a really a decade of play in Europe. I think that was really good work, and bringing in a guy who's just going to be no BS, come in and just save shots.
Yeah, I mean, bringing in Horvath, especially on a World Cup year, is, I think, a brilliant move. I think he's going to be, as great as Coronel is, I think this is an upgrade at the goalkeeper position, which should help them solidify that back line, even though it wasn't terrible last season. They also went out and got Justin Shea, a longtime MLS player who's going to play right back. They got him from Branby. They brought in Robert Volader, a defender signed as a free agent. And then they brought Tim Parker back. Cade Cowell. I don't know how I missed this news, but Cade Cowell, who did play for San Jose. There's a lot of interlapping players today in these conversations. He got signed on. He's on loan from Chivas. It's a 1-year loan. He should help them on the attacking side of the ball. And then I got to play it again. We had a Boj bomb. This was a couple days ago, but I wanted to bring it up to talk about it. Was out of pocket yesterday, but can confirm New York Red Bulls finalizing a deal to sign winger Jorge Ruvalcaba from Pumas. God, I can't talk today. From Pumas, per sources. Ruvalcaba, 24 years old, made senior Mexico national team debut in November. Christian, what do you think of this move? I mean, Pumas, a team that we're going to be watching tomorrow when CONCACAF goes live, but is this a good move for the Red Bulls bringing him in?
I mean, it adds a third DP spot. I think that this is an issue we see across the league is all these teams having these open DP spots. And I know that it's creating roster flexibility for the summertime. But my thing is, why not go out and fill your third DP spot when you can, especially with a guy who is 24 years old, came out with 16 goals and 9 appearances in 100 games for Pumas, and he's really looking to make his name for himself with the World Cup roster coming up. This is a great move for them, I think.
Oh, terrific. I think it's one of the better moves that we've talked about so far. I think this is a guy, I think at times, and let me know if you disagree with this, as great as Emil Forsberg and Choupo-Moting are as a duo, obviously you lost a little bit last season when Lewis Morgan missed time due to injury. But when those three were together the season before, we really saw how that team could shine at times. It was very deadly.
And Forsberg's 34 years old, so bringing in a younger guy that can kind of come in and take a little bit of the load off of him, I mean, that can only help.
Yeah. I assume they're going to play a 4-3-3 is how I would assume this lineup's going to look. With Forsberg kind of anchoring that central, he's going to fall in behind Moting in that central attacking position. And then you'll have Jorge on the side. You'll have Moting up top. And then I got to be honest with you guys, I don't know who would be on, I assume, the right wing. It might be Cade Cowell, but I think they have a couple options unless I'm probably missing a player. Let me go up to my impact players. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see who they put on that, the other side of Choupo-Moting. Impact players, we talked about Ruvel Kaba, their new DP winger. They're going to expect a lot of goals out of him. I brought up Julian Hall as a young player to watch. This is one of the people that I think could be in contention if they give him the time for Young Player of the Year. Like I just feel like Julian Hall is ready for that leap, and I'm excited to see him develop again this year. And then obviously, Christian, this duo that I keep bouncing around. Choupo-Moting, 17 goals last year in MLS, 5 assists. Emil Forsberg, 11 and 11. Like, that is absolutely mental numbers, in my opinion, to be able to do that in the central mid position. They're going to be relying a lot on these two guys.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was so important to fill that third DP spot.
And then my key to success for this team, high hopes for Red Bulls is what I put. Like, I'm really excited to watch this team. I think their ceiling, got to be honest with you, 4th or 5th in the Eastern Conference. Their absolute ceiling. Maybe I'm a little too high on them, but I like this roster. I like who they've brought in. I think they've improved every position that they needed to improve. I said if talent plays to their ceiling, if everybody gels and they play to their absolute level, they could be dangerous in the Eastern Conference. I really do think they could be. I don't see this being a championship team, but I would not be shocked to see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Them versus I wouldn't be shocked to see them there.
I don't see a team getting that taste of sweet taste of playoffs 15 straight years and then getting the bitter taste of missing it and then not coming back with vengeance. I think that I see this team definitely kind of fighting to get back in there for sure.
Go ahead. What are your X factors?
Get into my X factors here. Number 1, Emil Forsberg's availability. Like we stated earlier, 34 years old, not getting any younger. Everyone knows Forsberg is elite. That's not the variable. If he plays 30-plus matches, I think New York Red Bulls have a chance to crack in the top 5. Number 2, central midfield balance. The grown-up test is what I want to call it. The Red Bulls often lose games not because they can't create, but because they get stretched, they chase transitions, and they concede dumb second goals. If the midfield can screen the back line, win second balls, and let Forsberg stay high, we're talking about a difference of 48 to 56 points. And my third one is the homegrowns. You touched on it. I touched on it. The Red Bulls are known for having a really strong academy. With the RB2 winning the MLS tournament last year, can we see some of these homegrowns start to break into the squad and add some depth?
Couldn't agree more. And Christian, I love the fact that you agree with me. I was you said you could see them break into the top 5 of the East. I was nervous that I was overhyping them over here.
No, I think that they have the players to do so. It's just like I said, Forsberg. I mean, there's no question he's an elite player in the league. But at 34 years old, we've seen it with players like Marco Royce. Can he keep that for an entire 36-game season?
I hope they can, because this is a team that I'm very excited to watch. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think about the New York Red Bulls heading into 2026. We're going to keep moving along here. We're going to go back to the Western Conference, and this time we're going to go to the far northwest. We're heading up to Portland. Yes, the Portland Timbers. 17th in MLS, 8th in the West. Sorry, I accidentally put East in my notes. I put it West there. 11 wins, 12 losses, 11 draws. They were eliminated by San Diego in the first round. They actually were able to get a game on San Diego, won in penalties in the second game. Ended up losing 2-1 to the expansion side. Their head coach remains Phil Neville. Their leading goal scorers last season, Anthony and Kevin Kelsey, with 7 goals apiece. Middle of the road season for Portland. At times they went low, then they were able to bounce up, and then they just fluctuated in that, bottom upper tier to upper bottom tier of the Western Conference. They finished the season with a -7 goal differential, and they finished on a 5-game winless streak to end the year. Christian, how do you look at Portland heading into 2026 here?
It's funny because let's just have the agreeing continue, because literally word for word in my notes, I have very middle of the road.
Yeah.
We were 11, 12, and 11, 7, 4, and 6 at home, 4, 8, and 5 on the road. It just seems kind of very average throughout the year. A kind of interesting stat I had was they only scored 41 goals last season. Only Austin scored less among playoff teams.
Wow. Okay.
Their defense was strong. They just weren't scoring. Anthony led the team with 14 goal contributions. I do feel like they went out and got a dude for the midfield, though.
You want to go? Yeah, you want to talk about that? It's new. I don't have a Boj bomb for it. I would have queued it up immediately, but I mean, this news came out shortly before we went on live for the stream that it was official. But I think you're talking about Cole Bassett, $2 million move from the Colorado Rapids. We talked about, when we were talking about Colorado, we brought up how Cole Bassett was going to be an important piece for the team. And then I'm pretty sure, Christian, I texted you the next day because Tom immediately the next day said he was probably going to be on the move to Portland. And our reactions were like, what? Like, this is such, for Colorado, like, why do you let that player go? You bring in $2 million that you can put elsewhere, but this is such a good player in this league. And to pair him up with, I really love David DaCosta in that midfield for Portland. And then to pair him up, obviously you have DaCosta, Cole Bassett, you have Anthony, also with Kevin Kelsey doing his thing up top, Diego Chara. Although I'm going to talk about how he's kind of declined very fast the last couple of years. He still gives you that leadership in the midfield when he comes on as like a super sub. They're strengthening it a lot, Christian.
Well, and Christopher Veld, DP they brought in last year, didn't really perform to the level. But like we talked about with Marcos earlier with the RSL, it seems to be a common issue when you bring in guys within that second half of the season that tend to not hit the ground running. So I think that Veld is kind of a guy that they expect to take back over, or to kind of take that step forward, considering he only saw 8 appearances. I mean, this is a guy who had 62 goals and 39 assists across 250 appearances for his former clubs in Europe. I believe I don't have it exactly here, but I believe he had 0 goals and 2 assists. That's not enough for a DP, especially when we're talking about a team that only scored 41 goals.
Well, and I want to go back to Cole Bassett as well, because you kind of teed me up, and then I gave my input, but I didn't give you a chance to speak on Cole Bassett and how you feel. I mean, you said it. You think they fixed the midfield problems that they could have been having by bringing in Cole Bassett. Like, this is just a good move for Portland.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy who has pretty good MLS experience at just 24 years old, right? 128 starts at Colorado and 31 goals and 22 assists. That's pretty good for a 24-year-old to get him at just $2.6 million. I think that this is a guy who's going to help and bring a better goal threat, considering that's really what seemed to lack last season.
And this isn't a team, this is the first team we're talking about that actually made the first round of the playoffs and took San Diego, who had such an incredible inaugural season. And yes, it was their first time in the postseason, so maybe some jitters there that allowed Portland to get the second game, but they took them to 3 games in the Western Conference playoffs. We're talking about a team that hasn't really done a lot of departing moves. We've talked a lot as we go through these different teams about, they let all these guys go. Mm-hmm. Portland hasn't really done that. They traded David Ayala to Inter Miami for $2 million. They pretty much turned that $2 million, and they went and got Cole Bassett with it, which is a really smart business move on their part. Maxime Crepeau, he entered free agency. He is gone. And then when you look at the players who have came in, it's just, some MLS veterans. You have Brandon Bai, longtime MLS defender who is now making his way to Portland, signed as a free agent. They re-signed Eric Miller. They went out. We obviously talked about Cole Bassett, and then they went out and got Alex Bonetig, defender from Western Sydney. I'm sure it's like Bonetig, and I just messed it up.
I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely wanted to give a shout out to that. I think the Australian League is incredibly underrated for the talent they put out, especially in the young players. He's a 23-year-old center back who got the call up for the Australian national team World Cup qualifying. He didn't make his international debut on the field, but the fact that he got that call up, I think, is big. And then, like you said, coming in, he's going to probably get a couple chances this year, maybe for Portland.
And I can already tell you guys, I'm excited to see all these. I'm going to go through my impact players, but I'm excited to see these players play this year. I watch so many Portland Timbers games every season. And it's honestly, if you're watching this and you're a Portland fan, it's because of you guys and the atmosphere that you create at Providence Park. That's one of the places I want to go to so bad because it just looks like it's the perfect place to experience an MLS game. I guess I need to make my way over to Salt Lake and experience that with the talk we had earlier with Marcos.
Marcos called out Portland saying that Salt Lake had a better atmosphere.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he's been to Portland. Real Salt Lake's better. So I need to go and test out the two. Impact players. Obviously, I talked about David DaCosta, 4 goals, 8 assists. And Anthony was wonderful. You said 14 goal contributions, 7-7. Great. That's a great season. I'd love to see him get in the double-digit goals. But for a first season with the club, that's not bad. You're bringing in Cole Bassett, 3 goals, 4 assists last season. Felipe Mora, always a good player, 5 goals, 4 assists. Kevin Kelsey had 7 goals, 2 assists. And then the last player that I kind of want to talk about and touch on is you still have that leadership of Diego Chara, longtime player for the Portland Timbers. He's been there since 2011. But in the last 2 seasons, his production has dipped huge. He's had a huge dip. Sorry, that's what I'm saying. 1 assist last season in 27 games played, 10 games started. That was it. The season before, I think he also had 1 assist, and that was it. So this is a guy who is obviously at the tail end of his career. He's really high up there in age. I don't know his actual age, but I know he's getting up there. I'm pretty sure it's 36 or more.
No. Diego Chara is 39 years old.
Is he?
Yep, he's 39 years old, and I think that's why you see them asking him more of a defensive role than coming forward and into the attack role. That would just require him to cover too much of the field.
And it's how much more do you get from Diego Chara? I think he's going to be more and more. He's going to start being seen as that super sub player who maybe comes on in the second half to solidify.
I expect Diego Chara to wear the captain band.
You think he only started 10 games last year?
Didn't he deal with some injuries?
Probably, but if you want to go down that road, the question would be his health.
Well, at 39 years old, that's always the question.
Well, if you have him out there, he's the captain of this team. I just don't know how much more we're going to get from him. And then my key to success for this team, you have great attacking players already. I like the combination of Anthony, Kevin Kelsey. You brought in Cole Bassett. I keep talking about David DaCosta. I don't think he gets talked about enough when referring to this Portland team. I love your attack. Focus all your energy on the defensive side of the ball. All of it. I don't think you need to touch anything with the attack. I think this is a team that who are you going to have fill the sticks now that Crepeau is gone? And then you already did that with the back line, re-signing Eric Miller, bringing in Bonetig, bringing in Brandon Bai. I like the moves you've done, but I think that's the last thing Portland's missing. If they can figure that out, I don't see why this team couldn't make it back to the Western Conference playoffs this year. I just don't think their ceiling is going to be that high. I could see them being a 6 to 8 tier or 6, 6 to 8 team in the playoff. But yeah, I think you just got to focus on that defense.
Yeah, we'll start off with my X factors. Number 1, I have midfield legs versus midfield leadership. We touched on Diego Chara. He's returning, and this is huge for Portland, but he is 39 years old. If Portland asks Chara to do too much, I think the system breaks. If younger midfielders actually shoulder defensive responsibility, this quietly becomes an elite MLS midfield. Number 2, one touch back on Christopher Veld's full season impact. Like we said, mid-season DPs often lie, full seasons don't. If Veld hits 10 to 12 goal contributions, I think Portland becomes a top 6 team in the West. Number 3, the guy I don't believe you touched on is Kevin Kelsey's developmental curve. Kelsey doesn't need to be elite. He needs to be reliable. I think if he provides hold-up play, converts early chances, occupies center backs consistently, it'll unlock space for everyone else.
And Christian, the question that I always like to ask going into this year, what is your final outlook on Portland? I told you where I think they're going to rank, around that 6 to 8 range. Are you high on them, or are you lower on them than where they finished this past season?
I mean, I kind of disagree on your aspect of the defense is the issue. Like I said, they made the playoffs last year as the second lowest scoring team of the playoff teams, and like you said, only a -7 goal differential. I think that they got to find more goals, and I don't think that they have the wrong
I think
guys.
that's with the players. That's what I'm saying. Is I think it's with the players they have right now. I expect more from them this season.
Okay. Yeah, I think they got to find more goals. I think if they do so, if we can turn that -7 goal differential into positive or even neutral, then they finished 8th last year with a -7 and 41 goals. I think, like you said, 6th is doable.
All right. Let us know if you are a Portland Timbers fan or an MLS fan. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about Portland Timbers heading into 2026 and what you expect from them. We've got one more team. This has been a long podcast, but obviously we had the honor of having an interview earlier on in the show, so we knew it was going to go a little bit longer. But let's get to our last team, FC Dallas. Yes, the Bulls, plain and simple, right? You just had the little bull pop out there and say hi. FC Dallas, 16th in MLS, 7th in the Western. I don't know Western Conference. I don't know why I put East here. I put East on all the teams in my on my notes. 11 wins, 12 losses, 11 draws, swept by the eventual Western Conference champions, Vancouver Whitecaps. Their head coach is Eric Quill. Their leading goal scorer, who else? Peter Musa, with 19 goals. A late surge helped them secure a postseason berth. But outside of this, you could say this was a pretty mid-season for FC Dallas as well. Maybe a little worse than mid, because they had to have that late season surge to make the postseason. But again, it just ended up in a sweep by Vancouver. Vancouver was clearly the better team in that first round matchup. Christian, FC Dallas, how are you looking at them after 2025?
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up the Vancouver, because they ended up clinching the 7th seed on decision day with a big road win over Vancouver. Like you said, Peter Musa, 19 goals. Lucho Acosta led the attack as well. Obviously, he's out, left in August. Michael Colati is a guy I like to touch on, probably going to be in goal this year after the big news that broke. I think we're probably looking at more of the same this year with them, honestly.
Yeah, when you look at the moves, not many moves have taken place. Sebastian Lletget gone, obviously, from last season. Lucho Acosta has departed. Tariq Scott is gone. And then you touched on the big news, Martin Pace being sold, transferred out. Their goalkeeper, who they've had for a couple seasons now. So they're going to have a change there. And then the players that they've brought in, Ron Benjamin, midfielder signed from I'm going to mess up this name. I'm so sorry. Hapiel Tel Aviv. He's taking up an under 22 international slot as well. And then Herman Johansson, I'm excited for him, signed from Malji Ive. Oh my dude! You know what? Doing this
Majalbi, but I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Doing this podcast, you know what's really fun as people laugh. You know, people are gonna be watching. They're gonna be like, "Bro, you got to check out how these guys pronounce stuff." What's gonna be fun is learning how to pronounce these teams like over time. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be fun. But I'm looking forward to Johansson coming in. I think he's going to be a good player in this league. I think he's immediately going to slide into starting on that back line for FC Dallas and trying to strengthen it a little bit as well. And the player I want to talk about is actually not Musa, who I'm sure we'll touch on. I'm sure he's going to be part of your X Factors as well. But Paxton Pomykal, do you remember the seasons he was having about 3 years ago? Where
Paxton Pomykal, at one point, we were talking being a wonder kid for the U.S. team.
Where is he at now? Has barely played the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's definitely lost his touch, which is crazy coming from a team who I think is arguably up there with the New York Red Bulls when it comes to putting out young talent.
I'm actually going to look that up. I'm going to see if I can get an answer. So go ahead, Christian, if you have a player you want to touch on.
I mean, just to touch on Herman Johansson, like you said, coming over from Sweden. He played 5 seasons at Mjällby, recording 17 goals, 15 assists, and 136 appearances across all competitions. Let's not also forget, on top of my boy Michael Colladi, they brought in Jonathan Sroy, from goalkeeper from Montreal. This will add depth and competition at the position. 24-year-old recorded 23 MLS appearances and added 4 clean sheets.
So as I was doing research while you were bringing that, or while you were going into more about Herman Johansson, it's obviously Paxton Pomykal had knee surgery, season-ending injury to his left knee requiring surgery. That was back March 2024. So he missed all of that season. He returned last year, it looks like in May, after he had knee issues again before the season. So he kind of made a late start to the season. But I hope he can get back on the field and play like a full year this year. Because I think Paxton Pomykal is still a good player. Hopefully that knee injury hasn't, ruined his development in him getting to where he can be overall. But when I was doing my research before coming onto the stream, I mean, I was shocked to see that he hasn't really played much the past couple of seasons. So I think that's a big player that I look to, put him out there, especially the fact that you haven't really brought too many people in, fill that midfield role. I'd love to see him get back out and scoring.
Yeah, I mean, I love Paxton Pomykal. I was always a fan of his. Another thing I want to touch on, though, I'm a big youth academy guy. Dallas also signed on an assortment of homegrown deals, including Jaden Contreras, Kakas Gabin, Slade Starnes, and Caleb Swan. This is a crazy stat. Dallas is now adding on to its league-leading 48 homegrown signings.
Whew. I mean, you talk about the best academies in MLS. We're praising RSLs earlier in this video. We talked about the New York Red Bulls, and now we're talking about FC Dallas. Like, this episode should just be called the homegrown episode.
Philadelphia was in it.
I was just about to say I would put Philadelphia up there as well. I mean, these are all teams that thrive with their homegrown development. And so it's kind of funny that we're talking about a lot of them in the same episode here. And then obviously we have to touch on, they've got some other good players here. They have Anderson Julio, 6 goals, 1 assist, and 17 starts last season. Their backline, they've got Lalas Abubakar, bounced around the league, been a consistent overall defender. They have Shaq Moore.
Amongst the best hair in the MLS.
Incredible. I don't know why he has it like that. Shaq Moore, who came over from Nashville, has been, playing in that right back position for them. And then Petar Musa, 18 goals, 6 assists, and 27 starts last season. He started all but, I think, 6 games for them. My key to success, Christian, you got to add another attacking piece next to Musa. Because, you can't expect him to carry this team. He's not that type of player who can carry them farther in the Western Conference. You got to give him some pieces. Last year you had Lucha, and now you don't. So like, who is going to be providing him those through balls? And while Musa can create some shots as well, I still think he's a player that kind of needs some help around him to really thrive. And if you put him out there with a bunch of mid talent, like, how much can he actually raise this team in the West?
Well, let me get into my X factors. Maybe we can find out how. Number one is Michael Kaladi's leap from promising to reliable. Dallas is losing their experienced keeper, but there's real pressure on Kaladi. If he is average, Dallas will leak points. If he's above average, then Dallas will steal points. Number two is Peter Musa. Musa, we already know, will score his goals, but can he punish teams when Dallas isn't dominating possession? Can he score half chances, second balls, and broken plays, kind of like you were hinting at? I think if he hits 20-plus goals, I do think Dallas has top 5 upside. The third one, I think one young player has to pop. We brought up the youth academy. We brought up the young players. I think every good Dallas team has one unexpected breakout. I think one breakout will equal rotation stability and tactical flexibility.
Christian, when talking about FC Dallas, you talk about how we need a youth player to pop off. We talk about, what is Musa's ceiling. How high are you on FC Dallas heading into the season?
Like I said at the beginning, I think we can probably expect more of the same for Dallas. I think Musa's going to score goals. I think
that's given, yeah.
I think that they did bring in Herman Johansson, who can also distribute the ball, can help out from the wing back position. I think 7-8 is probably about where we're looking at again.
I can see them missing the postseason too. I'm not ruling that out. If go wrong.
I personally don't see, like we said before, the West is a gauntlet, right? I don't see them probably getting better. It could. I think that you lose a lot of experience between the sticks and goalkeeper. You're probably going to play Kaladi, but if not, it's Soroy, and he's also young. But I think that having the two there, you have competition, which is always good. I think that having that lack of experience in goal it's not a recipe to be better than you were last year, but I could see the same.
All right, let us know, fans, where you think FC Dallas is going to finish in 2026, whether you agree with Christian or maybe you're a little bit higher or a little bit lower than our opinions as well. Well, there you go, Christian. We just talked about 5 more teams, which means we are halfway through our team preview series. Just a few more weeks ago. It is now February 2nd. The season kicks off on the 21st. We got a few more last-minute things we want to touch on really fast, and that is because Tom Bogert has been busy. Boj Bomb. This came out earlier today and had everyone's head scratching. Fluminense bid around 15 mil for LAFC star Denis Bouanga. Bouanga, 31 years old, is one of MLS best players, finalist for MVP last year and 3 straight years of best 11. LAFC rejected a $13 million bid from Inter Miami earlier this winter. The development with this is Tom added in that there has been no official agreement despite reports, because reports are coming out that LAFC have accepted Fluminense's bid for Denis Bouanga. Christian, I'm sure this has your head shaking. Really quick thoughts. I know this is our team preview video, but what are your quick thoughts on this news?
I think I have an issue. Okay, let me just backtrack here, because I think that what the reports are is that Denis Bouanga is frustrated with the club and wants to be out. I think what probably sparked this was the rejection of the move to Miami, which I have to commend LAFC for on that aspect of not allowing one of their best players to go to the reigning champs. But the problem I have right now is it seems as though Miami is getting better and everyone else is sitting on their thumbs. I feel like there's a lot of teams around the league that are sitting on one DP or just two DPs, and the league is giving you the ability to go and make these moves, and there are guys who are wanting to make that move. And I understand there's a lot more that goes into, you know, bringing a player in than just saying, hey, bring this guy into the club. But it just feels like we are now, 2.5 weeks away from the start of the season, and Miami has been by far the best offseason we've seen. So seeing Denny Bwanga leave a club as the second best player in a club that we expect to be amongst the elite, it just makes me scratch my head and think, what are the other 29 teams thinking going into the season?
Yeah, reports were that Denny Bwanga wanted to leave last year, but then it looked like he was happy once they got Son, and he was having fun and lighting the league up. And you might have hit the nail on the head in saying that the rejected Miami move, for better lack of words, might have pissed him off, because he even tweeted out a very cryptic message, being like, when you were, or he retweeted a message that was like, when you were so close to your dreams that you could have tasted it. Like, it seems like, obviously we don't know, we're not a fly on the wall in the room, but it seems like Bwanga really liked the idea of playing with Messi, and to find out that he had a chance to and the club just rejected it really made him mad. And so now this is a guy who looks like he just wants to leave, and he wants to go back to, he wants to go somewhere and, for whatever reason, compete at a higher level, if that's what he's feeling like, and that's what he's looking with Fluminense.
He's going to go from one Argentine to another with Lucho Acosta.
I'm interested, Christian. Do you think this deal goes through?
I think it will. I think that, especially if there's enough drama behind the scenes, LAFC will not want to go into the season with that on their books, especially when you're talking 15 mil for a 31-year-old. It seems like a good deal for them, and I think that they will distribute that money accordingly, but it probably won't happen till the summer. But that's the thing with the way the schedule is laid out. The MLS season is so forgiving. We've talked about this multiple times. You could have such a poor start and still squeak into the back end of the playoffs and then make a run, especially with the long winter break in the playoffs. That's why that we need this calendar move sooner than as soon as we can get it, we need it,
Yeah, it'll be incredible for the league, and I'm counting down the days until we get that calendar move, because it will, I feel like, just elevate this league to where it needs to be. Few other news to go through, Christian. I know neither one of us have too much to say on Obed Vargas, but this was huge news that came out. Atletico Madrid were in talks to sign Mexican international midfielder Obed Vargas, who's only 20 years old, from the Sounders. At the time of this, it said nothing agreed to yet, but they did announce this today. So Obed Vargas has moved to Atletico Madrid, which is a huge move for him. I'm sure he's super excited about the potential of playing with, European giants. And then, Christian, you might have something to add to this. We've talked about Montreal. We forgot to bring this up. I think you might have mentioned him once, but FC Dallas literally happened, I think, late last night, finalizing a deal to acquire Canadian goalkeeper Jonathan Cerrillos from CF Montreal. Deal is worth $150K plus $200K in add-ons. Christian, anything to add about Cerrillos moving to Dallas?
No, I mean, I brought it up while you were looking over Paxton Pomacall. I mean, like I said, I think it brings in depth to the position. I think Kaladi is the shoe-in for the goalkeeper position, but this will just go ahead and bring him more competition just to push him.
Make sure to follow Tom Boger on X. I have his notifications on, so every time that he breaks news, I'm seeing it on my end. I definitely recommend you guys do the same. But Christian, what an insane episode, and it's crazy to think that tomorrow night we will be watching an MLS team in action. The CONCACAF Champions Cup kicks off. When you're talking about MLS, it kicks off 11 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a late night for us, my friend. Snapdragon Stadium, San Diego FC hosts their very first CONCACAF Champions Cup game against Mexican giants, Pumas, as they travel into town. It's not the only game on tomorrow night, as you have Forge FC battling Tigres, and then you have Olympia versus Club America, which I'm definitely going to watch that game because that's going to be an insane game. Christian, what are your thoughts on the CONCACAF Champions Cup returning tomorrow, and who do you have winning this game?
I mean, I as much as I want to say I would love to see San Diego pull off the win here, I think that Pumas is going to come in their midseason form, and like we have hinted at multiple times, this calendar move is going to be huge for tournaments like this too. Unfortunately, I think Pumas gets the win. I'm gonna go 3-1.
I was also thinking 3-0 or 3-1. I'm trying to think, do I agree with you? Do we double down on 3-1? Because No, I'm going to give them some more credit. You know, they had a great season. I do expect San Diego. We haven't talked about them yet. I do expect them to kind of take a step back this year. But I'm going to go 3-2. I'm going to say it's a good game. They've got home field advantage. I do think Pumas is going to win that game, but I'm going to go 3-2. Christian and I are trying to figure out a way to watch the game and watch it over YouTube Live so you guys can watch it with us and see our instant reactions to the game. I don't know if we'll be able to figure it out by tomorrow, but whether we do or not, that's another thing we want to do on this channel is watch some big-time games and, you know, react with you guys in the live chat while it all plays out. So what a great stream we had today, Christian. I mean, just having our first guest on the show it's a milestone, and having Marcos on to start off was an absolute delight.
Oh yeah, definitely brought some great moments for the channel, for our breakdown of Real Salt Lake. It got me excited on Real Salt Lake too, because now I feel like I got a little bit of reason to root for him a little bit.
The inside scoop. I feel like we got the inside scoop too when he was like, when I spoke, you know, with Diego Luna, I was like, ooh, wait, hold on a second. We're one person away from Diego Luna, Christian. I'm just saying. Well, if you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, follow us on every social media platform at MLS Fulltime. And for the first time, this is on Spotify. So if you are listening to this show, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating. It helps us grow, and follow along, as well as all of our podcast episodes will now be released to Spotify. So thank you guys so much. We've got more teams to talk about in the next episode. We will break down Austin FC, Orlando City, Chicago Fire, Columbus Crew, and Nashville SC. We will see you guys next time, and enjoy watching the game tomorrow night.